Our guest speaker today, we've been anxiously awaiting a demonstration of the trailer that we sponsored, and it sits outside attached to the police car. I'd like to invite Michelle Teeple to come up here and talk a little bit about how it all fits together, and recall that she was here over a year ago talking about impairment strategy for our community.
Well, thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. I made some notes. I was working last night till 3 in the morning, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to remember everything that I wanted to say, and I don't even know if I caught them all, because there's so much that we've been doing with our DAIRS group. And one of the things to remember with DAIRS is that it's a community mobilization, which brings all leaders within our community to address a problem. And when I started crunching some numbers after a horrific crash that occurred here in Dryden a few years back, the impaired driving numbers were going up, the arrests were going up, and the age of those offending drivers was coming down. So I gave you all those numbers the last time that I presented to you, and we worked together. I reached out with different agencies, the hospital, the health unit, the fire department, the ambulance, police, the city police, involved people from around the community, and people who were interested, and we came together and we formed this group. And how do we address impaired driving? Because from where I'm looking at, everybody wanted to help the police, and I said, we don't need your help to arrest people. We don't need your help to go tell next of kins that their loved ones have died. We don't need help with that. I said, but policing and arresting people for impaired driving is the back end of this equation. So what can we do as a community to stop it, to prevent that impaired driving arrest? So there was people that bought into that math equation, and so we've been really focusing on education and awareness and bringing back how this is a preventable thing. This doesn't have to happen. Poor planning, poor decision making, kind of a acceptance that it's not that bad, and just to show and make people aware again that it's a selfish act and it doesn't need to happen. So 2 years ago, we applied for the Frontline Policing Grant, and we presented our stats and our numbers, and we ended up getting $90,000 worth of equipment and a coordinator to work towards limiting and lessening and the impaireds and educating the people in our community. So we got all this great equipment and no way to haul it around. So that's a good problem to have, and it's a good to know people like you folks, because you stepped up and bought us that trailer that's right outside there. So that has allowed us to take and share this equipment in Ignace, in Dryden, Thunder Bay, and Patrina's been able to train all the community services officers around our region. And so they all have that training, and we're working with Denise Zachary to get her trained up on this equipment as well. I've also been working at the high school to bring in this equipment. This equipment is amazing. Patrina's going to give you a demonstration. We'll throw somebody on that driver interactive machine right there. And time is a valuable commodity, and when you're in a high school and you're trying to get everybody to meet the curriculum, all these good deed doers from the community coming in saying, your kids need to hear this, and again, it's a good problem to have, but they're trying to manage the time and different stuff, so there's been a real emphasis on keeping the kids in the classroom, and assemblies are great, but you lose a lot of the participants who would rather be at the park, who'd rather go for lunch, who'd rather whatever. So what we're going to do this week, we hope, is have this machine set up in Student Square and have the kids come to this. This is a video game. It's a, what is it? It's a game box program or something. So I don't know anything about it, but those kids are probably going to train me on how to do it. So that was the whole kind of idea, because me standing up here talking about it, they don't want to hear it. They're going to tune me out. I get it. So this is a way to better engage our youth, and thank you, Rotarians, for giving us the opportunity to tow it around so all the kids in our area can get it. It was a big hit in Ignace. The kids were coming to Patrina. She didn't have to go chase them down. They came to her. So that's what we want. If they want to learn it, they will come. So that's the great thing about that. So in that vein, DAIRS, so that's our Dryden and Ignace area impaired reduction strategy. I crunched some numbers. So year to date for our impaired arrests, for our area, the average age, we've arrested between Dryden Police and the OPP, we've arrested 11 impaired drivers year to date. The average age of that driver is 33. We've arrested 24-year-olds, but no teenagers this year so far, so that's a good thing. With the new licensing, anybody under 23 has to have 0 blood alcohol. Is it 21 or 20?
21.
Is it 21? So you have to have under that 0. So we've got a few of those. So at least it wasn't an impaired. But there's a huge cost to that, is that your license is suspended for 30 days upon conviction. So that's and the insurance companies, when you go to renew your insurance, they're treating that as an impaired. So I talked to one young person to get their insurance renewed. It was going to be $10,000. So that's part of the education as well. And this here is one of the things we put up everywhere we go, to just point this information out. And ignorance is bliss, I guess, but it's not once the consequences, because that's a hard hit. I can't afford $10,000 insurance on a 7-year-old vehicle, 8-year-old vehicle. So that's information we want to get out. The other thing is, I've been going around to speak and talk to people about it, and nobody, it's been a hard sell. It's been a hard sale, so we've got these printed up. And we'll hand these out. Actually, I worked with the post office, and we got 1,200 of these mailed out to homes in and around Dryden. So it was the rural side of things. We don't have enough to do in the town, but it has all this information on a card. So we're out of these, and we want to do more mailings. I know some parents have this taped on their fridge. There's a teacher, a grade 8 teacher out at Lillienburg School. I talked to his kids about this stuff, and he's got it right up on his classroom wall. So it's bright, it's lays out all the consequences, and again, it's preventable. You tell all these doom and gloom situations, but the good news is it's preventable. It doesn't have to happen to you. So the kids were picking up on that. So with the Dryden police agencies, we have 11 impaired driving arrests for 2018 year to current, but we are no longer in the lead for this region. Neighboring detachments have arrested 22, 23, 17. Another one has 9. So we're not at the top of that arrest pile, which is a good place to be. So I'm pleased to see that. I also went back and I went through all of 2017. And the average age of those drivers who were caught drinking and driving for the year was 36. So we'll see what the summer does for 2018 numbers. We'll see what comes. A lot of the people, I mean, we sit on the Trans-Canada. There's people coming through here. So we do arrest people from away. But still, overwhelmingly, the people we're arresting are from this area. So in 2017, our total arrests for combined city and OPP were 40 impaired drivers. Conviction rates are high as well. The Crown Attorney's Office runs at about 85% conviction rate. But last year, again, we weren't at the top, which was nice. Neighboring detachments, there was 58 arrests, 45 arrests, 63 arrests, 38. So we aren't at our peak where we were in 2016, where we were at 65 arrests. So there's progress, or we're just not finding them. So stats, you can play it, I'm honest. And the year that our impaired driving peaked, there was a lot of young people that were getting impaired. And one of the things that were coming out in that, and I call it a bit of a trifecta, where they're drinking, they shouldn't be driving, but they also have a cell phone in their hand. So you put, I mean, cell phone, you're going to crash at some point anyway, but now you got booze in there. The other thing is we have graduated licensing programs. So that has been put in place to keep kids alive. But it also lessens your opportunity to learn driving skills. And so another neat phenomenon that I've learned talking to people with the MNR and to people from Southern Ontario is in the larger centers, young people are getting their driver's license not to drive, but for photo ID. So at the Ontario Police College, when I joined, way back when, I was asked, how many years have you had a driver's license? At that time I had it for, I got it right away. I lived in north of Emo. I needed a car to get out of there. So I was not staying home anymore. So I got it at 16. And I was hired at 22. So I had all those years of experience. I was on back roads, I was in town, I was in different places and different exposures. I was approached by the health and safety guy, Jason Robinson, talking about some of the skill sets that these kids from Toronto who are coming up for work opportunities, they've never seen gravel. They don't know washboard, they don't understand loose gravel, they don't, so they're getting an accident. So that was something, that's a new development in driving skill sets. So again, so if you put alcohol in that mix, it's not going to go well, right? Right. So the other thing that with me going back on the road, I was doing the administrative side of policing for 8 years, and I've been back out on the road, and I've seen things that people are really concerned about, and I get it. There's crystal meth. There's drugs, there's legalization of marijuana that's pending, there's all these different things, but the one constant through it all is alcohol. You go to a meth party, there's booze there. You go to pit parties, you go to these different things, there's still booze there. There's the mental health side of things, and this community is working hard to bring help for people who are struggling with mental health. Frontline policing, we're seeing that people are turning to alcohol to help with the mental health. And it's not a help, I mean, we know that. Family disputes, there's been underage drinking and sexual assaults come up. So this is all part of that education piece where we are trying to reduce impaired driving, but we're also, with the PARTY program, which is Prevent Alcohol-Related Trauma in Youth, a sexual assault is an alcohol-related trauma. If you go to the hospital to get your stomach pumped, that's an alcohol-related trauma. If you attempt suicide at school because the person who sexually assaulted you is mocking you in the hallways, but you're so drunk at 13 that you can't remember to articulate to be able to tell the police what happened to you, but you know something happened to you, and then it becomes a police and we have to bring you into the hospital to get you help, it just compounds it. So these are all alcohol-related traumas that we're trying to prevent. And so we are working with the high school to bring in the PARTY program. We do have what's called the Indigenous PARTY program, where we're working with the Four Directions kids and the KO kids that are down from the north in our community, and it supports through it's a partnership with Thunder Bay Regional Hospital. And bringing in speakers at the Thunder Bay end, and we come in over a secure teleconference line, and there's a screen so the kids can hear impact speakers from Thunder Bay. But we've also been able to bring in local Indigenous leaders and young people to talk to these kids about their experiences and how they've graduated and making a path in life. And here's what I decide I'm going to do, and then where you end up, and how you just sort of get through there and navigate life, sort of thing. So it's been very rewarding at that end of things. And we're also going to be working with the Civics and Careers summer course. So if I reach out to you and maybe suggest that you might have something to offer these kids in the summer school, it's just to talk about careers that you've had and discuss sort of if an alcohol side of that, and if getting an impaired would have allowed you to continue in your university level type career. So we're working on that. Another thing that we've worked on is movie nights. So John Carlucci has been our right-hand guy over at the center, and we're bringing in movies. How are movies going to reduce impaired driving numbers? Studies have shown that a bond within a family, the nuclear family, the bond, kids are going to still make mistakes. They're still going to take risks where alcohol is involved. However, if there's a tie to an older generation, the risks they take will be less than. So they might go out and sprain their ankle, but they're not going to get killed. They might go out and do something stupid, regret it, might. Like, I mean, this happens with teenagers, right? So, and one of my things I try to talk to the kids and explain to them, I said, you're learning, your brain is developing, you sometimes struggle to make a good decision. So when you add alcohol in there, it just complicates it that much more. So some kids buy into that. So that's just some of the updates that we've been doing. But I'd like to show you a big thank you. You guys, I have a ton of respect for the Rotary and the Rotarians who come here and support this community in this region. It's amazing. And got us this trailer so we can share the equipment. And so is there anybody who would like to try out this game box thing? Trevor's all over it. Trevor's all over it. So Trevor is going to try to drive this thing. There's gas pedals, there's brakes, there's this amazing steering wheel. I'm quite impressed by the steering wheel. And it's a gaming system that has been put into this. So it will simulate impaired driving, normal driving, and texting while driving, distracted driving. So there's a seat that sits in here. The kids love this stuff. There's one machine in Fort Frances that their group, I'm not sure which one it is, a party, I think it's the party group. And there's a volunteer through the ambulance that organizes it and stuff. So we have this equipment. I want to make you guys aware of what we have, and we have the tools to deliver it, and we just have to put together the space to utilize it. So you can see why the youth would come to us. We don't have to, and you know what, even if there was a health and safety group who want to make awareness in their workplace, people are going to check this out. This is top of the line. This is pretty high-tech stuff. I mean, it's a go-kart, but with the how you can manipulate it, it's something I'd like to see used a lot. It's here, it's available, and if I see some wheels, people thinking here, and if you think this would be something that you could put to good use, then let me know. Right? I mean, this was purchased for the community, and it takes a community. It's not just the police that go out to prevent this. There's health reasons, there's employment. We have employers here who can't find, I know one employer who tried to hire 3 different people, but because of their impaireds, they can't hire them to insure them on their work vehicles. So, and it's tough getting your step up and be an adult and all that. So an impaired is just an anchor, and it's preventable. That's the thing I think that drives me nuts, is preventable.